Ernest Hemingway wrote, "The world breaks everyone, and afterward, many are strong at the broken places." I have been broken and knocked down, but I keep getting lifted up as a stronger version of myself. I frequently get lost, yet here I am, an imperfect and incomplete work of God's creation, being slowly drawn to my ultimate destination. I continue to search for the path to salvation that has been called as narrow and as difficult to walk as a razor's edge. I'm not even sure I know what it looks like, but I continue to search. Join me as I share my experiences and speak with others who walk the path to wellness and self-care. Who knows what we might discover along the way. You're on the Razor's Edge with Mike Murdy. Well, you're singing a song I like to simplify, and one of the things that as I was looking at what, not just my journey, but kind of what I feel like my mission is, to be able to let people know that if you start with, I eat better, I move better, I think better, I feel better, I am better. And
Yep.
and each of those areas, and I don't think it matters where you start at which one. In my particular instance, I know I have a very specific order that things sort of happened in, but I imagine you can pick any one of them and start there. But the totality of it comes together. And one of the things that I also learned from you, and I think is something that informs who you are and how you are so successful, is the mindfulness that you bring to this, that this is intentional. You didn't just accidentally become who you are, and that you take time every day to sit down. You've got a mindfulness practice that you specifically do. You have an appreciation for, we both talked about that as Christians, God, but whether it's God or whatever you choose to believe as your personal belief system, that this ties together, and this really is the underpinning. This is, for me, the culmination of the experience that I'm having. Is it's all led me to live in the moment and enjoy who I am and to accept this gift that I've been given.
That's exactly what it is. It is a gift, and that's the opportunity, because essentially when we do get up each day, it is an opportunity.
When I was there visiting you, and I didn't realize, I was unaware of your morning ritual, and I'm dancing naked in the bathroom or whatever, blaring my music, and not knowing that I'm stepping all over your wake-up time, which is your time to meditate, which, by the way, I have to do now, or I feel, it's worse than not brushing your teeth if I don't have time to meditate.
You can tell. Well, I've been blessed to have good mentors through my life, and having that mindfulness, I have to thank my brother-in-law, Pete McDermott, my sister, Pam. We were in our teens and early teens. And I mean, this goes so far back that we were doing meditational guidance, and listening to information from people back in the 70s on albums. That's how far back I started.
For the younger viewers, albums are those vinyl things that were flat.
So as a family, we'd lay down on the floor, and Pete would put the album on, and we'd lay there and listen for a couple of hours, and and I always dug that stuff, and that's why I became a chiropractor. What I realized, the adjustment and the type of adjusting that they did was important, but more so in my mind, it was the intention that they brought, that the intention, this is going to be a healing event. They brought themselves into the adjustment. It wasn't a disassociated release of force into somebody's body. It was a mindful sharing event to allow that open connectedness and allow that to create the effect within the body too. And
how's that impact you? Because I know I had the privilege of watching you work, and I'm you're unlike, and your setup for an office and how you do it, obviously from your mentors, is different from any of the previous experiences I had with chiropractic. But you bring so much of yourself, starting with bringing your fresh food in from the farm that you grew yourself, and your heart and your soul and your love and your kindness. And this has to be a taxing process because you give so much of yourself every day. If you're not careful, how do you keep from being drained of all your life energy?
Well, that's a good question. And then, what then you ask is, where does the life energy come? And that's the whole point, because in my preparation, just like you said, the meditation, I have to do it. It's like brushing my teeth. I do not go to work if I have not meditated. I have not missed a day before work, and I get myself prepared, and I just open myself to the connectedness. Chiropractically, it's called the universal intelligence. Mm-hmm. And I'm an innately driven chiropractor, and what that means to me is that when I come in, I trust that God is using me as a catalyst, as a vessel to serve. So it takes myself out of it. So it's not draining my energy as much as allowing the universe, God, to flow through me to help the patient heal. If you cannot care and just be outside of yourself and be that caregiver, you should do something else. But,
Well, it's like what you were doing, and I don't want to be overly dramatic, but, in ways it's spiritual, biblical. I mean, because you are actually laying hands on people. And I know that some of this sounds, at least to the old Mike, like we're really getting close to the edge, the lunatic fringe here. But I can't think of any other way to describe it.
It's okay. Let's experience it. There's the tangibility of what people perceive as exactly that, which is driven through society. That was one of the things that I really loved about chiropractic and getting started. Peter, literally, one day he just said, "Hey, I think you make a good chiropractor." And I went and picked up my application the next day. It wasn't some big, long decision-making process. And
but you're not the stereotypical chiropractor, I don't think either, because I know, and I won't mention names, other classmates, people that did this, and there's a lot of people that looked at, hey, well, I mean, it's pretty good living. I'll go make some cheddar, and I suppose and that's true of any profession. There's a lot of people sleepwalking through, and a lot of people where their intention and their motivation isn't pure or right. But I suppose that's an aside and a so what, because really what I wanted to share and what I wanted to highlight was the fact that you bring something more to this than just I'm a chiropractor, I fit this mold, and you do it fearlessly, which is part of what I think is inspirational, because there's always going to be people who look at you and question, he's talking about this universal vibration and all this stuff is going, woo! They're going, this is really, it challenges people's feeling about, if I start buying into this, what's next? He's going to have me wearing crystals and chanting and playing a drum, and which, by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. I love playing the drum. But, I guess I want to tell you personally that I really respect that you've always been, from when we were short kids, able to be confident in who you were in yourself and stand up to that criticism, or be able to at least push aside the skeptics.
Well, thank you, Mike. And I can tell you, I've always felt it's my responsibility to get people thinking. So I do want to challenge people's thoughts and thinking. And, through the years, it's more of a dance and understanding where that person is starting, with youth and vigor and passion, you can get yourself into trouble too, and just, turning people off. So there's that migration of understanding, but at the same time, I think it's such a wonderment And the reason of being fearless is because it's not up to me. God's got this. He's going to take care of it. So I'm not the healer, and in knowing that, it gives me a lot of strength and it gives me a lot of power to be able to go into the office and to be able to bring that in and be able to help people. And that happened after, it was probably about 7 years into practice. It just hit me. The light switch just flipped on, and it said, this isn't me. This isn't up to me. The good Lord's got this. If I believe what I'm doing, the power that made the body heals the body, which they've been talking, but if I really truly believe that, it makes it a lot easier, and the results, people get it.
Well, you just said something that triggered a thought in my mind too, was that to have the epiphany, to stay with something long enough to have the light switch go off, because this is happening to me all the time now. Sometimes it feels like strobe lights, is you have to show up. And see, that's what you did, is you started in with the good intention and you were there for the right reasons, and you were in and you were receptive, and maybe you didn't get it. Oh, look how you fell over. It did hit you all at once. But some of this is time release. I mean, I look at myself, and it took, well, I like to say, and I'll plug here now that, to support the channel and the podcast and everything else, I put up a website at mike.murdy.com. And in there, I'll post some of the things about my story, and that, really I look at my sojourn and some of my wandering as 40 years in the desert, not unlike the time that Moses, and not saying that I'm a prophet, I'm saying that I wandered around bumping into walls and stuff, but I keep showing up. I keep showing up, and I'm just a slow learner, But now that the light turned on and I started to experience this firsthand, I mean, I'm chasing after this. This feels so good that I haven't stopped chasing. I get up every morning grateful and excited to live that day, and every night I go to bed full of gratitude and joy, thinking about how great it was. And I have a hard time getting to sleep sometimes because I'm so excited to get up and do it again the next day.
I know, that's what the joy is.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And I think I just like the whole fact of pushing our thinking, because, and it's not that there's a revelation to get to that, hey, oh, I got it, now I understand. It's the journey. It is the journey. It's in my time as a chiropractor, and within our lives on this planet in the last 50 something years, the amount of information and availability and access to health information, to understanding of the body, of what we can do. And Mike, when we were young, the motivational exercise program was Jack LaLanne on black and white TV, and people thought he was nuts. They thought he was a goofball.
Man was ahead of his time.
The man was ahead of his time, which, by the way, he was a chiropractor. But from that time, look at what has evolved for exercise. Oh. I mean, you talk to that doesn't have a personal trainer, or that was thinking about it, and how many people do you know that are doing yoga now? I mean, when I was talking about when I was talking about yoga 25, 30 years ago, they thought I was some kind of a cult master, and that's always been the dichotomy of how chiropractic will catch flack.
You're so much more than a chiropractor, because in addition to your chiropractic, and I know that the love you have for everybody and the gratitude and all that, you're an avid outdoorsman, a hunter, a conservationist, all the 14,000 foot peaks you've climbed in Colorado. I mean, the skiing, the love of skiing that you have, all of the things that make you the whole Dr. Doug.
Yeah, thank you. And it's what's funny, Mike, is when I think about that, I can tell you, for me, it's all meditation. It's all the meditation. Shooting skills, it's in the breathing, it's in through the mind, it's through the projection of what and how you're holding the done and the art of all of that and the breath. It's not about going out and killing something, because if you're food sourcing and you're going to eat meat, that's part of the hunt. Skiing is the breathing, is the settling into it, because you are my mentor in skiing. Mike taught me how to ski at age 14 in Prospect Park on a grass mat. and then through time, what I've learned for myself is the release of that, the breath through skiing, and just settling into the turns and understanding the mountain and just riding that. And just
the flow is so amazing.
The flow of that, and just being out in nature for me has always been a recharger. And I've always known and understood how that energy will affect me. I mean, it doesn't take much, and most people will get that too. I don't know what recognition they have of it, but you go out in nature and you have a hike, and how do you feel when you get back? Just to change my thinking and get myself out of the box. I have jumped out of a couple of planes and done bungee jumping, and just to kind of shake it up a little bit. But I've got friends that within their realm, they're really comfortable with that. I've got a good chiropractic friend that he jumps out of planes all the time and has jumped off of Angel Falls down in South America, and for him,
base jumping.
Base jumping all over. He'll jump off a tower in a heartbeat, and he loves it. I'm not on that same thing.
But well, different tolerances for adrenaline and stuff. But and I've always been definitely, I guess I felt that if you weren't on the edge, you were taking up too much space.
Right. Well, there was that no fear zone. Get off.
Yeah, but you know what for me,
get out of the way.
Well, I found great thrill going the other way, because I was so used to always pushing those buttons that when I had my knee surgery and I thought I wouldn't ski anymore, I was deep, dark depression, and I found scuba diving, and it was something that I could do. It was therapeutic, and I found a whole nother kind of zen that was opened my eyes. It was like, wow, this must be kind of like what it's like being an astronaut. And talk about breathing, where I've learned how to control my buoyancy with my breath. And so, it's back to what I said before, the simplicity of, eat better and move better, including whether you're doing your yoga and your exercise, and think better and push yourself, and you'll feel better and you'll live your life better.
Yep. I think so. Yeah. As long as, we're going to live it. And, my big theme is the quality of life, just having quality of life. You never know when things are going to happen. And
geez, isn't that the truth? And I'm sure you saw on social media, one of our friends had a cancer diagnosis, and brings to mind for me that, you plan as if you're going to live forever. Plan your life, but you live your life like today might be your last, and live in the moment,
Yeah. But we do have that opportunity. I like what you had said before. It's never too late, because whenever we do start, we can recreate some and overcome some challenges that might be happening in our life if we're willing to do so. Just like your knee and skiing, because I know how important skiing is for you. You grew up racing in Colorado, and that was your life. And that's, and you extended that. And I can't tell you how joyful it was for me to watch you this last Memorial Day up at Arapahoe Base and just shredding it and just in your zone.
I can't wait to make a trip back out. I started going to my trainer, and he's got, that guy's kind of a masochist. He went online and he got some of the Lindsey Vonn workouts and the U.S. ski team stuff. He hit me so hard last week I couldn't hardly walk for 2 days, but I'm bringing it. I'm coming back. And I would not have thought, if you'd stopped me a couple of years ago, that any of this was possible. So the things that I'm able to do now are nothing short of a miracle to me. And as I open the segment, and I'm going to bring this back around to, giving honor and to God and the grace that I've been given, the angel that's my daughter that asked me, Daddy, to stop drinking. And when I quit drinking 3 years ago, that enabled all of these things to happen. And it's possible to make huge and dramatic change in your life. You just have to do it.
And congratulations on your 3 years, by the way. That's outstanding.
Well, and that's dwarfed by a lot of people. Someone said the other day to me, oh, only 3 years. And I'm like, yep.
3 years is a long time when you're counting.
Well, 3 years is not a long time if you're a tree, but if you're holding your breath, 3 years is a long time. So It's all relative, right?
Right.
I've got now, I'll wrap up our segment, but I've got a series. I stole this, by the way, from the Actor Studio. I always thought it was so cool. I'm going to ask you the same questions I'm going to ask everybody that I interview. And whatever you got to say, there is no right, there is no wrong, but this will help us know Dr. Doug a little better. If you could be any animal for a day, what would you choose and why?
Well, I can tell you, I like the rhino, but if I was going to go at it, I think I'd go for the polar bear.
Nice.
I just love the polar bear and what kind of fortitude they have and the amount of hunting they have to do, and how joyful they can be sliding down a snowy slope and just watching them swim and being weightless in the ocean and swimming around
that's a good one.
But they cover some terrain. They've got to keep after it. They're on the hunt constantly.
Well, and I've also heard that that's the one time when man is up in their environment that we are not the top of the food chain.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that's.
If you could share a meal with anyone from any time, any place, alive or dead, who would it be and what would be served?
Oh, I'm pretty sure that would have to be my mom. I just miss her, and she taught me so much grace. She my mom, so but
I know your mom.
Anybody that came into the house, she just enveloped, and you could feel her love, and I growing up with that was my marker, to be able to extend that to other people too, because she was a woman who had grace, and I'd be in for some of her meatloaf and mashed potatoes. I think would probably
would she have to? She'd have to cook it for you too.
Whatever, because she just had whatever she made, just had that love.
Amen. Okay, the story of your life is being filmed, major motion picture. What actor is cast as you, and what's your theme song?
What's the theme song?
Yeah, who's the actor that's playing you, portraying you, and what's the theme song?
That's a good one. Probably, Keanu Reeves would be a good pick. I just like, he's always kind of an underdog, and but he's kind of out there a little bit too. So I could see that. And then taking it to the streets with the Doobie Brothers would just that'd be an awesome.
Credit Island. What was that? 1979.
It never gets old. I could listen to it. I kind of do listen to it almost every day. So, yeah.
Uh-huh. The Doobies are on my playlist, and yeah, we were there. Credit Island. What was that? 79 maybe.
Yeah.
Credit Island Jam. The Doobies. The all-seeing, all-knowing Oracle has agreed to answer one question for you.
That's an easy.
What would you ask?
That was an easy one. What happens to us? What happens to us when we pass? Our spirit, our life energy.
Where do we go?
If it just be shown how it all transfers, how it all.
That's kind of like looking to the end of the book, right?
Well, it could be the opening of the
next.
Book. Yeah.
Well, and the easiest one of all is the final question, Doug, is at the end of your life, how would you like to be remembered?
Kind that he was kind and he was a good man.
No problem there, buddy.
Yeah.
You've achieved that.
Yeah, that's my success. If I can help people where they need help, and that goes across the board for anything, I'm happy to help. And that's what I would like to be remembered for.
Well, you said something to me recently, within the last year, that I think of pretty much daily was about, well, first it was one word, instruction was breathe. And when I started to breathe, I started to get better at it. But when you told me to breathe in love and to exhale gratitude, that
Isn't that
changed.
a great affirmation?
That just,
Yeah.
well, and it connects me to the universe and everybody in it. And all I can say is thank you. I love you, brother. And we'll have to do this again real soon.